Hey everybody, it's Brandy and you are watching Abstract Crafter. Today we have the next video in my little sealing experiments. We are going to try DecoArt Americana triple thick brilliant brush on gloss glaze and test how well it works as a sealant on diamond paintings and on diamond painted accessories. So, if you're curious about this product to see how well it works and if it's the next best thing in diamond painting sealing, then just keep on watching and we'll get into that in just a few moments. Hello friends, welcome back. If you are new to Abstract Crafter, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad that you are here today to spend a little bit of time with me while I test out a new sealant for diamond paintings and diamond painted accessories. If there's time in this video, I will pull in stickers, but for now we have a keychain, we have our round, and this is, I'm using the same canvases so that we have more comparable side-by-sides and see all of them interact together. So we have a round and we have a square here, and both of these I've already had resin on them. This was just the two-part in which it was poured. I was not a fan of the pouring method because it encapsulates the drills way too much. Brushed on, I was a big fan of that. I do not have any of those examples of the brushed on because those were gifts and they have been gifted. And again, on the squares, we have the poured, and this is the two-part, plain and with glitter, and the two-part and with glitter. So the plan is to do one side at least of this accessory and then section off a square on here and on this one to test. And then, like I said, if there's time, we'll pull in a sticker too, because I know that's something else that people were curious about. And I've already pulled so much hair off of this keychain. It's just been sitting there on display. It hasn't even been in my pocket or anything. So the need to seal this is high. I have washed these all down to get any dirt off of the areas in which we're going to be working. And the product that we're going to be talking about today is DecoArt Americana Triple Thick Brilliant Brush on Gloss Glaze. This was recommended by one of my lovely subscribers. So at the end of this one, we're going to actually have you vote on what comes up next for the next experiment. And now I have been sick, so I was a little bit late by like almost 3 weeks on getting these experiments started. So I do apologize. Real quick, let's go over instructions. It says you will be able to create a clear, high gloss finish with one coat on hard surfaces. The extra thick glaze adds depth. Directions: use an acrylic brush, which I have, to apply. Apply multiple coats for additional protection or on textured or porous surfaces. Do not overwork. Allow to dry for 24 hours before use. Acid-free, water-based, permanent, soap and water cleanup. And for more info, go to www.decoart.com. I will link this. I got this off Amazon. I don't even remember how much I paid. I'll put the current prices of editing up on the screen for you. These, I know that may be a determining factor for some people, is the cost. I've never worked with this product. I've had my eye on it for a little while for other projects, but diamond painting, it never even crossed my mind because I've never been interested in sealing my diamond paintings. And more recently, I've been doing things that require extra protection. Plus, there's the whole worry about what's going to happen to these in 5 years, 10 years? Are they going to start falling off? Is the adhesive below going to be enough? And on rounds, you have the added worry about the gaps in between the drills and things getting stuck in there and becoming a problem in and of itself. Let's just get right into it. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so that we can see a little bit better what I'm doing. And we're going to start with the key ring. I will not be able to do both sides. And since it has to sit for 24 hours, I will come back. We'll do this part and then we'll come back and see how it turned out once it's all dry this time tomorrow. Well, for you, it's going to be in an instant. So we are zoomed in at 2.5%. So I'm going to take this key ring off so that it is not something that gets in the way. And we'll just set that off to the side. All we are worried about is how it applies onto this and if it takes anything away. I am very curious, but I just want to show you this is like a milky substance. It's going to dry clear. It does have quite a few air bubbles on the surface. So if you need to, you can just tap it on the table like you would in baking and help bring those bubbles to the surface. It does appear to be a little bit runny, which is good for brushing on. It has a very strong paint odor, almost like a plastic kind of. I don't know. It doesn't smell like you would expect. Yes, for a glaze. But then again, I don't know what glaze should smell like. You can see that it's fairly thick. And it runs off my brush pretty nicely. This is actually a really good consistency for doing my acrylic pour paintings. Ha! I want to start out very light. This is my only acrylic brush, so it's a good thing that I actually grabbed this. So I'm actually going to hold this in my hand just to have better control. And I always like to start on the edges because I don't know how long it takes for this kind of thing to dry. And my brush is a little stiff from other experiments that I've conducted. So like I said, this was subscriber recommended and they swear by this stuff. So I'm really, really excited to see how it's going to work. And when I do this kind of stuff, I try to put as little as possible on my brush. I'm learning here. So the resin may need to be redone once I'm done with all these experiments and I've, kind of learned from doing. So when I'm going over these big gems, I'm kind of like brushing over the top and then I am trying to get around the side because the whole goal is to create a stronger adhesion, if you will, to these. And then I will, at the end, I will go along the edge. Because then tomorrow, I won't do it on camera, but you'll want to see how this turns out. I don't know if there is a better way, like if you're not interested in going over the top of your drills, for something like this. I don't know if there is going to be a tool. I suppose if you had a really thin, good detail brush, you might have better luck with something like that, but I can say right now that this is going on a lot thinner than the resin, which is good. The resin did tend to go thick on me at times, and it would pool up quite easily. So now I just kind of want to take my bristles and pull them through the grooves of the drills themselves and kind of do a little bit of a roughness to it so that, you're getting all around those drills. That's the hard part with doing things like this. You have so many different sizes of drills. I am not sure how this will interact with the drills themselves or the acrylic base of this particular one. And I'm actually pretty tempted to just leave the other half of this undone for now so that we can have a really good idea of what it looks like afterwards. It's not, because like in the resin one, I did the whole thing, so it was really hard to show other than through pictures what the overall finished look was. So because it's easy enough to do that and then come back in and add more to it. So I think that's what we'll do for this one. With the diamond paintings, it's easy enough to just paint a smaller section. So I think that's what we'll do. I realized I did go down the middle of this one, and that was because I hadn't thought about doing the side by side. So let's see. First glance, it's going to look wet until that dries. Like I said, it is a super gloss, so it should have a little bit more of a glossy finish. I want to take the excess off my brush. So this is what I did with the resin as well, is once I'm satisfied that everything is coated, I take my brush and I completely pull everything off so that you have the least amount of product on there, and then I run through over everything again, and I continually do that so that it's pulling off any of that excess that is still on the piece. And you're not going to get pools that way. I mean, you're not getting a whole lot off, but it's still better than having little pools in certain parts of it. The other thing that you could do is take whatever you're pulling off and just kind of dab it on the sides to make that all cohesive. I didn't put enough on to have to pull over to the side. So then I would just dip a little bit in the container, just enough to get that edge so that everything looks nice and even together. Of course, that means it's going to drip a little bit on the side, but that's quite all right. So I'm literally, I got a little too much on my brush that time. So I'll try to let gravity be my friend in this case and keep it upwards so that that doesn't drip where I don't want it. And just as easily as that, I have sealed the edges, which is where I think most problems are going to come in. And now I'm just going to run my brush over to make sure it's nice and even. And I'm going to make sure again that there is no pooling. There's a lot of crevices on this piece to allow for pooling. And like it said, you don't want to overwork this. So I can see why, like I just did on there. It is now bumpy. So I'm just going to add a tiny bit back over that to try to smooth it out. So you don't want to get obsessive with this. If you're OCD like me, you want to just try to do it in one movement and be done with it. So we're going to leave that now to dry for 24 hours. Set that off to the side. Let's pull in our round. And you can see I drew a line here where the resin was, and even where it seeped over, that's where I try to draw my line. So what we're going to do is mark off a new line where we don't want to go past. I'm going to go up 2 drills from that original line. Maybe 3 because it's a little on the crooked side. So that way that there's a little bit of a gap in case it leaks over. If I could, I would just mark in the actual diamond painting, but... So then I'm just going to draw a line here, and I won't draw the other line. So I got my line here. I did the same on the other side. I won't draw another line up here until I actually lay this stuff down. I'm actually hoping to just get half, but we saw how that worked when I tried to do it on the resin down here. So I'm going to aim to not go beyond here and try to keep it at this line, and I only want to do half so that we can compare it side by side, and then there'll be a little bit of a gap between the resin and this DecoArt as well. So alright, now let's go in. I'm going to take a pretty generous glob this time so that I don't have to keep dipping in, and I'm going to try to just brush little bits. I don't want to overwork it like I did on the accessory piece. I just want to get it in there and get it moved down as far as I can and down as deep as I can into the actual drills and onto the glued part. So I don't want to go much past this little button here so that we can have a really good side by side of with and without. So now I'm just going to use my brush like I did before and kind of drag through to pull the excess out. We just want a thin coating of this. This stuff is really easy to work with. I will give it that. It's nice and thin, though it felt thick at first. It's really nice and thin. So then the last thing I want to do is I have glue overage on the side here. So I kind of want to just brush down the canvas like that to cover up that glue so that nothing else will get caught in there. And I'm going to clean my brush off of any excess and try to pull that out. So they are just barely covered with a very, very thin coat without trying to overwork it. And I'm going to pull down the drills and do the same thing to get in the crevices in the opposite way. This is probably the product I was most excited about, which is why I started with it, because I wanted to see how the finish looked overall. Alright, I am getting dangerously into overworking territory, so we're going to leave that now. So let's pull the square in and do the same thing. I am going to put a small amount of this into a container and add some glitter to it, because you guys know I like my glitter. So I am going to actually focus down here away from the resin. I'm just going to aim to do a small little section. I want to get some of the black in. Oops, you're not even seeing what I'm doing. I want to get a little bit of the black in there, but I also want some of that color. So that's my goal, is just to get this small square right there. Nice generous heaping. And I'm hoping that this should be enough if I do things right, so that I won't have to keep dipping in there. And with squares, I'm going to push a little bit harder to get the gloss into that, because squares, there's not a ton of gapping on there, so this is more to help fill in the gaps that might be there and to seal those edges. So with this one, I might go back and forth. I have not developed a good method. So now I just want to pull any excess out of there. Alright, so that was a nice small sampling. We gotta make room. I have a lot of things to test out. Alright, so now that we're at this stage, this is what the up close looks like. So with and without on squares. And that's wet, so we don't know until it's dry. And then here is the round. And I went up to this button roughly. It might have went a little bit over, but so you can kind of see on there. And then the accessory, I will show you up close. Both of those. And again, this is without glitter. You know I love my glitter, so I'm going to grab a small container and some glitter. This is the same nail glitter that I've been using. It's just a super fine holographic glitter. And we're just going to put a tiny amount of both in so that we can make a little square of each. I don't even know how the glitter will react to this glaze. Got just a small amount in there, so I'll just mix that together. It is super duper sparkly. I like a lot of glitter. And this is really just a test to see how it reacts and if it affects anything. And if you're a glitter lover like me, to see if it works. We're just going to literally go right next to it. I'll leave a couple of square space between it. And just see how that works out as well. I try not to overdo it, friends, with the glitter. I cannot help it that I am addicted to the holographic glitter. I think because it reminds me so much of stars in the night sky. Alright. I already know I mixed up way too much glue glitter combo, but I'm okay with that. And again, now I'm just going to run my brush through and pull off as much of that excess as I possibly can. I will have to get another journal and conduct a lot of these experiments on the side by myself, and then just update you, whenever I get it and whenever it is finished, and just update you then. so that you don't have to sit through all of these experiments again, but that you can still see what it looks like on the journals, because that seems to be the biggest accessory that loses drills. Okay, so let's get up close and show you. There's the glitter portion right here, and then here's the regular. So that will let sit for 24 hours now. And then down here, you can see the glitter is right here and the regular right here. I'm going to go grab a sticker and we will cover one of those just real quick so that we can see if it works on a sticker as well. Okay, I grabbed this chipmunk slash squirrel. I'm going to do my absolute best not to come over the edge so that it can still be a sticker and still be able to peel off of this backing. This is a really thin vinyl sheet. I'm trying to find, it's just a really thin vinyl sheet. So we don't want, you know, we still want to be able to maintain its sticker, its ability to be a sticker. I'm going to grab a different brush because this one I have almost ruined. All right, I just have a super generic synthetic brush here, and we'll just see how that handles, because that's something that I feel like people will have on hand. So for the sticker, I'm just going to try to gently coat the edge of that without going over. I'm just going to bring my jar close. So I'm just going to kind of go to the edge of it and then brush inward to start with, and hope that I can drag that over it without ruining the whole sticker. Reasons you might want to seal your stickers would be if you're putting them on something and you want them to have a more permanent adherence, or if you're going to turn them into something else. Like I have a few ornaments that I'm going to be making out of some stickers. If you didn't see that video, that might not make sense. But in the post review on these, I show a few that I'm going to be making into Christmas ornaments for my tree. So these experiments are going to be super helpful in helping me find the perfect thing to help coat them. This brush isn't as good for doing this, I can tell you that much right now. It's not wanting to pull the excess out as much. It could be the stickers themselves. I want it to all look like it's one cohesive thing, and it should have always looked like that. So I just about got him covered. I just got one little bit on the side here. This stuff is fairly easy to manipulate as well. It does move where you tell it to. I totally see what they mean by don't overwork it, and it's not real easy to explain other than once you work with it, you can kind of understand what they mean by that. You don't want to brush over the same spot too many times. It does become gummy and gooey. Now I'm just trying to pull the excess out from between the drills because I'm not aiming to encapsulate. If I wanted to completely encapsulate it, then I would just leave it as it is. But in doing this, the goal is to pull the extra out from between the drills. Yeah, it almost like forms a little gooey, into a gooey substance at first when it starts to do its thing. So my guess is that if you're using this on a full diamond painting, you're probably not going to have these issues, but you also want to make sure that you're done in an area. You don't want to come back over it. Alright, it's done. We're going to leave it, and when we come back, I will have all of the results for you. This is what we will be looking at tomorrow. Just a quick recap on all of the goodness. We have our sticker. We have half of a butterfly keychain. We have our square drill right here. And we have our round drill right here. So 24 hours will go by in the transfer of a clip for you. Okay, I am back. I have all of the results. I let them sit for a little bit more than 24 hours because I checked on them after, I don't know, 18 hours, and they still seemed a little bit soft. So let's start with the butterfly. And I'll insert some pictures of each one as we go to so you can see them with, I'll do one with flash and one without. And here is what the butterfly looks like. And if you remember, we did this side and I overworked the top bit there. So you can see it did very much so brighten up the actual rhinestones and like these blue balls. I wouldn't like hold anything against up here where you can see that I overworked it. It was very clear in the instructions not to do that. But I think it did brighten it up. It did kind of the same thing that the resin did in being obvious that there's something on there, and I don't mean that in a bad way at all. As far as not moving, these things will come off with some force, so it's not like an overall like super protectant, but it does keep them, it holds them better than say over here where I can easily move these around. So as far as like a sealant, I think it'll be good because you can clean it easier. You don't have to worry about things getting caught in the glue underneath for accessories specifically. So, oops. And it does help brighten it up. It's not super easy to clean things like this. Like I like to wipe them down with a baby wipe. So it's not super easy to get in there and clean. And I also did down the middle and I tried to go a lot thinner. Now, maybe my results would be different if I did a couple more coats, but I wanted to try this with just one coat like I did with the resin, and going forward, all other experiments will be one coat. It's also something that kind of helps you to know if you need more than one yourself, if this is the method that you decide to go with. So let me put the pictures in right here for you so you can see with and without flash. All right, so I'm going to move on to the sticker first before we go into the painting, just because it's small and it's easy. So let's put that little butterfly right there. So I grabbed a sticker with as close of a tone as I possibly could. Maybe I could grab a couple just to see. I don't have one with the exact same, but let's just start with the sticker and then I'll try peeling it off. So if you remember, I hope so, because it was just a few seconds ago. For me, it's been a day and a half. So I did do a little bit along the edge, but I tried not to go all the way to the edge of the sticker. Now, an alternative to doing it on the vinyl obviously would be, let's just take the jar. If you are placing this on your object, you would then seal it over onto the object itself rather than doing it on this vinyl. I didn't want to do that because I don't know where this ugly sticker is going to go. It's ugly to me. It might be cute to you. It's just not my cup of tea. That's all. So these two here have similar colors in them. I mean, this one's more yellow, this one's more dark brown, but you get the idea of what I'm trying to say here. So I don't know if you can see an outward difference. We'll try something I didn't do with the keychain and just moving it so you can see. So you can see it does seal it nicely. It does give it an overall glossy coat, and I may have flooded this a little bit, and now it's competing with the other stuff behind it. But overall, I don't think that it was really, I don't think it did any harm, is what I'm trying to say. So now, let's see. Okay, so now it's like a really stiff sticker. It does still have some movement to it without cracking the sealant underneath, but you can still see my brush strokes pretty good. So be a little bit more careful in your application, but I think this is a really good solution for the stickers. I haven't tried the resin yet, and I will do that on my own time, so stay tuned for that in the wrap-up video of all these sealing experiments. And I should just note that not every video is going to have just one sealant in it. Some will have a couple head-to-head, specifically when we get into the Mod Podge. But if you kind of compare how the horse glitters to how the squirrel glitters, you're not getting as much. And even in this one with a lighter tone, it's not quite as much. It's different. You still get like a glimmer, but not quite like it would be without. And I don't think that you're really going to find anything that is going to offer that, to be quite honest. All right, let's start with the rounds. So I'm just going to fold over where the resin was so that we can just focus on the triple thick. And right in here, if you can see my line, that is where I stopped with the regular sealant up to this button, maybe a little bit over, but to the button. And then I added a ton of holographic glitter to that one just to see if there would be a difference. So when you're seeing the movement, and now this one also is going to be a lot thinner. I was able to really work the brush in between there. So you can see you're not really losing anything in sparkle when it comes to actual diamond paintings. Let's maybe go this way. Try to get some different angles on it. So you can see it's kind of like a square. Like, if you know what I mean, if you've done both. Squares have that wave-like glitter, whereas rounds have that more sparkly all over glitter. Like you can see over here in the red areas, you can see how it kind of glitters. And over here, it's doing that, but it's also added that little bit of a wave into it, like squares tend to shine. Oh, I did forget to put in the sticker pictures. So I'm going to put those in, and then I'll put the pictures up close of this canvas for you. All right, the last thing we need to look at here is the squares. So, down here. So, you can see my lines here and here are where I applied it in a thin coat of just by itself. And then right next to it is with the glitter. Let's see if I can get you up close so you can see that. And it didn't take anything away. It's actually really beautiful. You can see what I mean about that wave sparkle that you get with squares. And it didn't seem to affect it whatsoever by using a really thin layer with the squares. But if you're noticing, what I'm noticing, it's also in the black. So you're going to get a lot more there. That's kind of why I chose this area. And the other thing I'm noticing is with the glitter, you're getting a lot more sparkle as you would expect. So this very edge here is where it is by itself. And you can see it kind of it has the same effect. It didn't lose anything. Then you come over where the glitter is, and it's just intensified because of that holographic glitter in there. And I'm under fluorescent lighting, so, and now as a whole, you can see that you didn't lose anything. You get a pretty uniform glitter. So I'll put a picture in here of the up close of this with and without flash. Okay, so the one thing I did not show you was what it looks like when you just go on the canvas here itself. So if you can see that, it dries beautifully and really nicely and thinly. Again, when you go over the edge as much as I was able to, I can't push those off. Whereas right there in between, I can. So that's the last thing I want to point out. Again, you can leave your opinions on this down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this particular product and if you think that it is worth using. But I'm going to save all my opinions until the end, until I can see all of the projects completed and all of the side-by-sides. And I am the kind of person that needs to research things to death. So I have a little clip here I'm going to insert about the sealant coming up next. All right, my dear friends, it is time to show you who is up next. So we obviously have tested our DecoArt Americana Triple Thick Brilliant Brush on Gloss Glaze. I also want to know what you think of this down below, if you've worked with it, if you liked what you saw in this experiment, or if you need more information to decide. So, we have 4 products for you to decide from this time around. I am still waiting on a few products to arrive in the mail. So, number 1 is Judekin's Diamond Glaze Water-Based Dimensional Adhesive. It's mixable, whatever that means. So, if you want to see this one, I'll also put a poll up. For those of you that don't want to comment, you just need to click on the eye that's appearing right now. And it should bring up some recommended videos and a poll for you. So the first one is going to be this one. So also, if you don't want to leave a detailed comment, just say number 1 in the comments. It's as simple as that. Number 1 will be Judekin's Diamond Glaze. If you want to see the tried and true most recommended product, next, the Tombow Aqua Glue. It's actually Tombow Mono Aqua Liquid Glue. This will be number 2, so leave a 2 in the comments. We have 2 Mod Podge products this round. We have many more to come. We have 2 spray adhesives and 2 other, maybe 3, possibly 4 other Mod Podge products, depending on how the first ones go. But first up, we have this Mod Podge Dimensional Magic. It adds dimension, it creates a little bit of a bubble, but I also know that it leaves a nice thin layer. I've used this in jewelry making, and it's really good for that. So if you want to see how this works as a sealant, this is number 3, be the 3rd one in the poll. And last but certainly not least, is the Mod Podge Straight Gloss. Not super gloss, not sparkle, not pearl, not nothing like that. This is just the original Mod Podge gloss. It's a water-based sealer, glue, and finish. So, this is number 4, if you want to see this one. So I know you may have seen sealing experiments with one or all of these products, but this is different. This is doing it the abstract crafter way, putting it up head to head against all of these. There'll be one final video at the end of all of these products, comparing each and every one, and I have a special swatch sheet that I'm doing off camera in which you'll see at the end to help you with your decision. So, 1 for Judekin's Diamond Glaze, 2 for Tombow Mono Aqua Liquid Glue, number 3 for Mod Podge Dimensional Magic, and 4 for Mod Podge Gloss. Leave your vote down in the comments. Whatever gets the most votes will go up next week, and the rest will go back in the running, and they will be used. It's just a matter of what you want to see next. So that's all I have for you guys today. So don't forget to subscribe before you leave. Give this video a thumbs up. It helps out so much. Helps the video get seen, helps people come to my channel, and it helps our wonderful, beautiful family grow. And then don't forget to hit that bell so that you will always be notified when I upload videos just like this one, specifically so you don't miss out on the rest of these sealing experiments, which should be coming in rapid succession from here on out. With that, I'll let you go. So have an awesome day. Have fun doing whatever it is that truly, truly makes you happy. I love you, friends. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.